And I was like, how much are you involved? We'll see you.
Forced me to move to help him move her body.
The hallway was quiet in the early hours of January 27th, 2016. Tammy Weeks was lacing up her shoes, ready to leave for work. It was routine: coffee, bag, keys. But before stepping outside, she turned back. One last check on her daughter, 13-year-old Nicole. She reached for the bedroom door, it didn't budge. Tammy frowned. Nicole's room didn't even have a lock. Something, furniture maybe, was pressed up against it. Her pulse spiked. She shoved her shoulder against the door until it cracked open. The room was empty. Nicole's window stood wide open, curtains swaying in the cold air. Her phone was gone. Her favourite blanket. Gone too. But her medication, the pills she needed twice a day to keep her transplanted liver functioning, sat untouched on the bedside table. Tammy's stomach dropped. This wasn't just a runaway. This was danger. By 7:15 a.m, she was on the phone with police. A child was missing in Blacksburg, Virginia. A child who couldn't survive long without her medicine. By the time the call reached Blacksburg police at 7:15 a.m, the situation was already critical. A 13-year-old girl was missing. Her liver medication left behind. Every hour without it increased the risk. Officers moved fast. A missing child case always triggered urgency, but Nicole's medical condition elevated it further. Word spread quickly. A vulnerable girl had vanished through her bedroom window in the dead of night. Her voice trembled as she pleaded for her daughter's safe return. "Please, if anyone has her, just bring her back." The local news ran the story almost immediately. Photos of Nicole, brown hair, braces, a shy smile, flashed across TV screens. Friends described her as a girl who loved to sing, who dreamed of being on American Idol. But investigators weren't interested in dreams. They were chasing leads, and time was slipping away. Detectives combed through Nicole's bedroom. Her neatly arranged closet, the bed stripped of its blanket, the open window, each detail became evidence. Then they saw it. A piece of paper taped inside the closet wall. On it, a list of usernames and passwords. Every account she had. It was a trail into Nicole's private world, a world Tammy knew little about. Nicole, bullied at school for her surgical scars, had turned to the internet for companionship. In that digital refuge, she had found attention and danger. Police began contacting the platforms, pushing for immediate cooperation. Most requests took time, but one name stood out. The last messages Nicole had exchanged before she disappeared were on Kik Messenger, with someone who called himself Dr. Tombstone. The username sounded sinister, almost theatrical, but behind the mask was a real person, and police were determined to find him. Through Kik, investigators secured EP logs, tracing the origin of the account. The lead brought them to a dorm room at Virginia Tech. When detectives arrived, they weren't kicking down the door of a hardened criminal. Instead, they met David Eisenhower, 18 years old, freshman engineering student, once celebrated as a standout distance runner in Maryland. Tall, athletic, polite. He didn't look like a predator, but he admitted he'd been talking to Nicole. He claimed she told him she was 16 or 17. He claimed that when he saw her sneak out that night, she looked far too young. He said he left immediately, returned to campus, and went to see a friend.
I was bored in my dorm room and logged on to a website where you go and you just talk to random strangers. It's an anonymous kind of, the website is called Omegle, if I believe correctly. And she's like, hey, do you want to use message me on some app called Kik? And I was like, sure, what? We're talking, and she's like, yeah, I'm 16 or 17, I do not remember the age she said.
They spoke daily until David admitted they had arranged a meetup on the night of January 26th, interesting date, and he had driven to her place to pick her up. However, when he pulled up, he told police that he saw she was much younger than she had previously stated, so he left immediately, headed back to campus to hang out with a friend. He said he didn't even get out of the car.
I get there, and then I see someone who probably looked like she was 11 years old climb out of a window, and I was like, not for me.
This young lady's never been heard from again.
Detectives listened. They noted his story, and they didn't believe it. Because the closer they looked at David, the more cracks they found. And Dr. Tombstone wasn't the only secret he was hiding. David Eisenhower didn't fit the image of a killer. He was a freshman at Virginia Tech, a former high school track star with medals to his name. Teachers described him as intelligent. Classmates remembered him as a little cocky, but ambitious. On the surface, he was the kind of young man parents would trust. But the evidence was tightening. In his dorm room, police found a slip of paper with Nicole's home address written on it. On his computer, searches about body disposal. His car's GPS, quietly tracking his movements, showed he had been at Nicole's apartment, then later near a remote stretch of Craig Creek Road. During questioning, David clung to his story. He had messaged Nicole, yes. He had even arranged to meet her, yes. But when he realised she was much younger, he claimed, he drove away. He insisted he didn't harm her. Detectives weren't convinced, and when they pulled the thread a little further, another name emerged, someone who knew more than she should. Her name was Natalie Keepers, a fellow Virginia Tech engineering student. 19 years old, intelligent, ambitious, from a respectable family. She was David's friend. Police sat her down for questioning. She admitted David had confided in her. She admitted he'd been upset after meeting Nicole. But when investigators searched her phone, the truth spilled out in text messages that couldn't be explained away. One of them read, "I smell like cleaning supplies and I've been around a lot of blood," Natalie cracked. She told police Nicole was dead. She insisted she hadn't been present for the killing, that David alone was responsible, but she admitted to helping move and conceal the body. The story grew darker. Natalie described David's fears that Nicole might be pregnant. She spoke about his panic. She revealed that he had stabbed Nicole, then turned to her for help. By January 31st, just 4 days after Nicole vanished, the search ended. Nicole's body was discovered in a ditch off Craig Creek Road. She had been stabbed 14 times. The fatal wound was to her neck. Investigators quickly tied the crime to 18-year-old Virginia Tech freshman David Eisenhower and his friend, 19-year-old Natalie Keepers. Surveillance footage showed the pair buying a shovel, gloves, and cleaning supplies before Nicole vanished, while GPS placed David's car at her home, the dump site, and the store. Forensics revealed blood in his trunk and on the shovel, and his computer searches. How long does it take to burn a body, and how did Dexter get rid of his victims, confirmed the crime was premeditated. Eisenhower had lured Nicole online under the alias Dr. Tombstone, fearing exposure of their relationship and worried she might be pregnant, while Keepers admitted she helped cover up the murder, later calling herself a sociopath in training. In 2018, David pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 50 years in prison, while Natalie received 40 years for her role.